Have you dreamed of writing a novel, but keep putting it off? Do you have a story idea that keeps you up at night, but you're overwhelmed at the thought of actually writing a whole novel? Do you watch writing and author content on YouTube, but think there's no point in writing because you don't know if you want to publish? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, get cozy. This video is just for you. Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm an indie author with 9 published novels. I've been writing for publication for 6 years now, but that's not how I started. My first novel started with an obsessive daydream that I needed to get out of my head before it drove me mad. That was back in 2010, before social media was the chaotic, overstimulating, soul-crushing mess it sometimes feels like it is now. There was no one to compare myself to, no other writers I was following online who I could convince myself were doing it better than I was. It was just me and my idea and some amazing afternoons in coffee shops near my home over the course of several months. I had no intention of publishing it at that point, and when I finished, I put it in a folder and moved on with my life. Fast forward several months to mid-2011, and I got an idea for another book that again came with that feeling of, I must write this. I still had no goal of publishing. Online indie publishing on platforms like Amazon KDP, Ingram Spark, Draft Digital, and others was still in its infancy, and I was busy. At this point, I was pursuing a master's degree and later a PhD. I was also teaching part-time, designing costumes for a local theater, and volunteering for a major arts organization. I was on the board and everything. I was even going to be president, but my PhD acceptance nixed that plan. But point being, I was super busy, but still writing every chance I had, even if months went by in between working on it. I didn't have the routine I have now, and I knew very little about how to write a novel. I had never taken a creative writing class, still haven't, and there weren't all the resources and videos online that there are now. But I'd spent my whole life reading and had internalized a lot about story structure. I also had a degree in theater and had studied plays. That had to help, right? It did. But I also learned so much along the way. I think one of the biggest things that helped me at the time was not having the pressure of comparison or competition. None of my peers were writing novels. The only person I knew who'd written one was my mom. I think that was the biggest thing that made me feel like I could actually write a novel. Growing up, I watched my mom working on our little old 1980s computer any chance she had. I'd come running in from playing with my friends, and there she'd be, tapping away at the keys. I remember when she let me read her draft of the novel she was working on. I was so impressed. Now, as an adult, whenever I start to feel my schedule is too much and I don't have enough time, I remember that if my mom could manage to write a novel while raising 2 kids, being an army wife, managing frequent moves, volunteering for different charities, and working part-time and then full-time, I can write my books. She also showed me that I was allowed to make time for writing, even if publishing wasn't an immediate goal. So that's what I'm hoping this video can be for some of you. The final permission slip that you don't need, but that I'm happy to give you if that's what you're waiting for to finally write your novel in 2026. I've done videos in the past, and I'm going to do videos throughout this year breaking down this process to make it less overwhelming. So this video is just going to cover the basics of getting started and hopefully inspire you to make someday today. It all starts with an idea. Maybe you have an idea for a novel already, or maybe you don't have an idea, but you know you want to write something. Either way, take some time to start forming your idea. At this point, what you want is to be able to summarize it in a few sentences or a couple paragraphs. Don't feel like this has to be a formal pitch. It's not. But where are you being drawn towards? You need to be able to answer, who are the main characters? Where is the action set? And what is the main conflict? If you can answer these questions in a few sentences each, you're ready for the next step. Making time. You can have the most detailed idea ever, but if you don't make time to sit down and write, you never will. We're all busy, but 99% of us still have small amounts of time we can carve out of our schedules. Being a writer doesn't have to mean writing 2 hours a day, every day. Instead, your writing schedule might be 15 minutes every morning while drinking your coffee, 30 minutes every day during your lunch break, 1 or 2 hours a week on the weekend, 2 or 3 hours once a month. The point isn't how much you write each day. The point is developing a consistent routine where every month you're getting something written. But be flexible. I joke that my first novel, a still unpublished fantasy manuscript, was born out of boredom and a bad economy. We were a couple years post-Great Recession, and I was semi-employed at a theater in a costume shop and living with my parents. That novel became my escape, and something that got me out of the house when I wasn't working at the theater or looking for new jobs. But my second novel took several years to write because I was busy with grad school, teaching, costume design, volunteering, and then YouTube. I could go a whole semester without writing, but then get several chapters written over summer break. I had an ideal weekly routine that I tried to keep up with, but I was flexible, and if I missed a day, a week, a month, or more, as soon as I had time, I came back to it. No matter how realistic or sustainable your schedule is, there are still going to be times where life gets in the way. That's okay. I can do a separate video on this, but you can keep thinking about your project, even when you don't have time to actively work on it. Keep a note on your phone in your Notes app. Keep a notebook by your bed. Dictate voice notes while out for a walk. But if you have a thought or an idea for your book, find a way to record it. When you finally have time to work on it again, you could have pages of notes ready to help you jump back in. The point is to be flexible with your schedule and not use it as a stick to beat yourself with, which leads me to another important point. Deadlines should be guidelines, and first-time writers probably shouldn't set them. I love setting deadlines and timelines for my projects. It keeps me motivated to show up for my writing. Now that I'm publishing, these deadlines are important, but when I was first starting, I didn't even think about a deadline. My first book, I had no clue how long it would actually take me. If you're just getting started, you probably don't need a deadline, but I'm going to include a rough formula for how to figure out a rough timeline if you're the kind of person who needs a deadline to stay motivated. Just remember, stay flexible. Use this as a guideline, not something to torture yourself over. Step 1. Know your genre and the average word length for books in that genre. You can find this online by searching average length of a mystery novel, or average length of a romance novel, or whatever your genre is. Look at a few websites and take the average of the averages they suggest. Step 2. Learn your writing speed. Take a few weeks to learn how fast you can write in the block of time you're allotting yourself each week. How much you write in 15 minutes a day versus 1 hour per week is going to be different. So depending on the schedule you set for yourself, your weekly or monthly average is going to vary. Step 3. Once you know your writing speed and the length of the novel you're aiming for, do the math. If you need 70,000 words for your romance novel and you can write 1,000 words per week, you're going to need 70 weeks, or about a year and a half. You can keep running this math based on how much time you can allocate to writing and how many words you can write in an hour. But remember, stay flexible. And I also always recommend estimating a little bit slower than you think you can write. Your availability to write each week will fluctuate as other things come up in your life, which they will, and your story might take a different turn or end up being longer than planned or take more time to work through plot challenges that come up. So don't be so tied up in the pressure of a deadline that you stop having fun. Outlines. Are you a plotter or a discovery writer? I'm a plotter. I'm just going to make that clear right now. But as a teacher and a member of the larger writing community online, I have met plenty of discovery writers. If you're not sure which type you are, start with discovery writing. Just start writing and see what happens. If you get stuck beyond the first couple pages or can't finish the first chapter, you might be a plotter. Personally, I'm starting to feel like our approach to creating our stories is a spectrum, with detailed plotter on one end and totally freeform discovery writer on the other end. I've often said I'm a discovery plotter. My outlining process is very similar to some writers' discovery writing process. My outlines usually end up being a 10 to 20,000 word zero draft of my story, told almost entirely in narrative summary. I outline in sentences and paragraphs, not in a traditional alphanumeric style of outlining. If you want to see my outlining process, I've done a video on that, and I will be filming an updated version of that soon. In all my years of teaching writing, I've had plenty of students who hated outlines until they took my class and learned there are different ways and different levels to which you can outline. So I'm inclined to believe that some discovery writers might actually be plotters. They just haven't found the right outlining method. So take some time as you're getting into your story, developing your idea, and learning your writing speed to just write. You most likely have an idea of where your story will begin and end. If the only thing you know about the ending is that the good guy wins or the girl gets the guy, you still need to figure out how they get there. Start filling in those gaps. It will become apparently pretty quickly if you thrive without an outline or not. If you're a natural discovery writer, the story will just start coming out and you'll figure out what to write next. But if you constantly get stuck, I would recommend checking out my video on outlining. Learn as you go. When you start looking up videos on how to write a novel, you can very quickly be overwhelmed by all of the advice. Some of the advice is great, some of it, not so much. One of the most important things I can tell you in this video is there's no one way to write a novel. Seriously, we all do it differently. How a novel is written varies by author, genre, story, characters, the way the wind is blowing. Okay, maybe not so much that last one, although the weather does have a strong impact on my mood, which impacts my writing. But you'll hear a lot about read this book on story structure, or follow Save the Cat, or use a beat sheet, or any other number of things. And for the record, I've never used a beat sheet in my life, or index cards. I have used sticky notes a time or two. But anyway, writing is a very intuitive process, and advice that some people swear by might reduce you to tears of frustration. It's why some of my viewers have probably noticed that I'm very reluctant to give out hard and fast writing advice. What works for me might not work for you. But as someone who has studied the teaching of writing and who has taught countless undergraduate students in nonfiction and academic writing, you never stop learning how to write. You learn as you go, and you keep going. Your writing will improve over the course of your first draft. When you finish and compare your first chapter to your last chapter, you'll notice a difference. But while you're writing your first draft, you'll most likely want to read various books on writing craft or follow YouTube channels that talk about craft and watch videos on various writing topics. It's going to be hard to avoid, but don't get overwhelmed by all the advice and don't treat any of it like a hard rule you have to follow. Writing a book is so much more than just writing the first draft. So throughout writing and editing, you'll have plenty of time to learn about writing and apply the things you learn as you go. Learning how to write is a never-ending journey. So don't think for 1 second that you need to learn everything about writing a novel before you start. Just start. Because more important than knowing everything you need to know as you embark on writing your first novel, you need to have fun. Writing is a joy and a privilege. You don't have to write a novel. You're choosing to write a novel. You should have fun. The idea of needing to suffer for your art is so outdated, in my opinion. If an artist chooses to approach their craft in that way, they can do that, but you don't have to. Now, I can already hear some of the more experienced writers watching this firing up their keyboards. Not all books are fun to write. Not everyone is writing a lighthearted novel. I hear you, and I would kindly remind you that this video is meant for first-time writers, not experienced writers. If you dream of one day writing a really gritty, emotionally gripping, heart-wrenching story, you might want to save that idea for your second or third novel. It takes more experience to be able to tell those kinds of stories and not have it totally destroy you in the process. But also, while some story ideas are going to be more fun than others, you should still enjoy the process of writing. I cried quite a few times while writing The Bookshop of Possibilities because of some of the broader themes within it. But I still had so much fun overall in the process of writing it. I also should mention in this section, if you have an idea that's your passion project, you can let that be what you write first, but I wouldn't publish your passion project first. There's a reason my fantasy novel still hasn't been published. It was the first thing I wrote, but even then I knew I didn't have the skill I needed yet to do it justice. So allow yourself to follow a story idea that just sounds like a lot of fun, that lights you up and feels like something you'll enjoy spending part of your week working on. Choose a fun project that will allow you to fully engage in joyful creativity when you work on it. Let yourself be a kid in the sandbox, just seeing what you can build. If you later decide you want to write something for publication, that can be another journey you go on in the future, and the topic of a completely different video. But writing is like an endurance sport. You don't go from never running even down your own driveway and back to running a marathon overnight. You train for months or even years before attempting that. Writing is the same. You don't go from never writing even a scene of a novel to writing a best-selling Pulitzer Prize-winning novel on your first go. I say this with so much love and encouragement, but your first novel is not going to be an instant record-breaking hit. I mean, it could be, if you put it aside, write a bunch of other novels, learn more about the craft of writing and the business of publishing, and then go back to that first manuscript. But you're not going to achieve all of your secret dreams of quitting your day job off your first book in the first year of publishing it. And don't believe anyone who tries to tell you otherwise. They're probably trying to sell you something. So once you've set aside the time you're going to spend on writing, lean into it and make that time as fun as possible. Create a cozy writing space, treat yourself to some fun writing accessories, make a cozy drink and light a candle, and let yourself have fun during your writing session. Sometimes writing is hard. Sometimes it's really hard, but it can still be fun. Writing a novel is a journey. Enjoy the ride and don't focus only on the end product. One final thing related to having fun before we wrap this up. Don't feel guilty for spending time writing. I feel like some people put off working on their novel because they feel guilty engaging in something they have fun doing. Our society promotes working hard and being busy, and it looks down on people who prioritize their own desires or happiness. Writing can be seen as something that's not productive and serves no purpose, unless you're going to publish and make a lot of money off of it. No, just no. You are allowed to write a novel just for fun, just for you. You are allowed to spend some time each week doing something that is just for your own creative fulfillment. And that's a hill I will die on. I'm going to wrap things up here. There's no way I can put all of my advice for writing your first novel in one video, but I hope this video has inspired you to start. That's step one. Just start. If you're a first-time novelist and there's a question I haven't answered in this video, please put it in the comments below and I'll either answer it there or make it the topic of a future video. If you enjoyed this video, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed so you don't miss out on future writing videos. In the description box, you'll find links to my Patreon, my newsletter, and all of my published novels. If you are so inclined to check any or all of those things out, I would really appreciate it. Leave me a book emoji in the comments to let me know if you made it all the way to the end of this video. If you're a first-time writer in 2026, let me know in the comments so I can cheer you on. And if you're an experienced writer, please leave your top tip for writing a novel as a first-time author to add to my tips. I know there's a lot of really talented writers in this community, so let's help out the new writers in the group. That's going to do it for me for now. I hope you all have a great week writing. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye!